To the April 9th, 2019 meeting of the Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks to individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Mrs. Florence Lynch? Here. Mr. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Phelan?
Here.
Mrs. Russell? Here. Mayor Cole?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Next item on the agenda is presentations, and this evening we have a presentation in the memory of Ed Verhaeg, and we have Police Department promotions for Jack W. Lyons Jr., Robert Brown Jr., and Daniel Commune. At this time, we're going to do the memory of Ed Verhaeg. I'm going to ask the entire council to come up, and the family members from Ed to come up.
Should I go that way? No.
And Councilman Phelan is the liaison for the fire department, so we're going to ask Councilman Phelan to read the proclamation.
But before I read this, I want to say one thing. I look around this room, and I know why we have such a great town. Just look around what you see here. I mean, it's phenomenal. Whereas Edward Verhaeg spent a lifetime protecting and serving the community, and whereas Ed was born in Prospect Park, graduated from Hawthorne High School in 1949, and moved to Pompton Plains, and whereas Ed served 4 years in the Army while stationed in Germany, and whereas Ed was a Pequannock Township volunteer fireman for 65 years and a chief of Engine Company No. 2 for more than 20 years, and as a member of the Morris County Fire Chiefs Association, the New Jersey Firemen's Relief Association, and a lifetime member of the New Jersey Fire Chiefs Association. And whereas Ed put his knowledge into action as the fire official and director of the Office of Fire Safety for the Township of Pequannock, and the fire subcode official for Pequannock Township, Kinnelon, Riverdale, and Bloomingdale, and was instrumental in the start of the Morris County Fire Prevention Bureau. And whereas Ed was recognized as Pequannock Township Citizen of the Year and by the Morris Council YMCA, and whereas Ed was a dedicated partner, friend, and mentor to his companion, Phyllis, their extended family, and their many volunteers at the Pequannock Township Fire Department. Now, therefore, Mayor Cole and the members of the Pequannock Township Council hereby recognize Ed for his outstanding service and friendship to his community, his family, and the Township of Pequannock.
On behalf of a grateful Pequannock Township, allow me to present you with Ed Wynn's helmet. Thank you.
65 years of volunteering. That just shows the commitment and the dedication that Ed had to the Township of Pequannock. So we are very grateful for his long service to the Pequannock Township Fire Department, and he will truly be missed.
What do you say for something like this? Obviously, for somebody in our own town that has given so much of his life and love for this town, it's always hard to see somebody go, but it is an honor to have known him and what he's done for our town. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say a few words.
I got to know Ed over the last 10 years, and we chatted quite a bit. He used to call me, well, usually it was to complain about something, but no, but we got to chat quite a bit, and I was lucky enough to see and visit with him in the hospital right before his passing. I think he knew what was happening. I know he talked a lot with his family and friends about, that the end was near. But he lived a good, full life, and I think he was at peace and okay with that. And we just really appreciate all he has done, not just for his community, but for others as well around the county and the state. But he gave a lot of himself, and we really appreciate it, and he'll surely be missed.
We do appreciate everything he did, and just look at all the people that came out to honor him tonight. And that says a lot.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, we got the other one. I'm ready to go up. We got one more, don't we?
Three. So, can I call you Captain Commute? Captain Commute, come on up.
Do you get to speak about yourself?
I think Mr. Brewer.
Okay.
I've been talking a long time. It's me. First, I want to thank Ed and myself for long service to the volunteer fire department. It's a great honor for these guys to be here tonight and show their love and respect for him. Next, I want to say we miss Chief Spring tonight. We miss his leadership. He couldn't be here again because of his sickness. He can't be around large crowds, but he wanted to send his congratulations to the officers being promoted. I want to thank the council, Mayor Cole, Township Manager Adam Brewer, for their continued support with the police department. I've mentioned this every time. Last time I mentioned, and it holds true, so many places I talk to other police officers, promotions are blocked, promotions are not made, officers aren't hired. It doesn't happen here. These guys are really the best, so I want to thank them. I want to thank the officers that showed up tonight to support the three officers being promoted. It's a great group of guys to work with. I don't think any of us can ask for anything more. I want to thank the retired officers that showed up. I saw Captain Dooley, Sergeant DeCenzo, Lieutenant Fairweather, and Sergeant Wetmore. They're the guys that really laid the groundwork for this police department. High standards here, and I hope we can continue to achieve what they put out for us. With that being said, I think we're going to bring up Jack Lyon, Sergeant Jack Lyon. So Sergeant Jack Lyon, he was hired in 2001 as a dispatcher. He was quickly identified as someone that we thought would be a great police officer. In 2003, former Chief Bill Montano hired Jack as a Class 2 Special, and he attended the Morris County Police Academy. Upon his graduation, he was hired as a full-time police officer. At that time, he was assigned to the Patrol Division as a patrolman. He worked as a patrolman, a traffic officer, a TAC officer, field training officer, and most recently, he was an acting road sergeant while Chief Spring was out with his illness. Sergeant Lyon is a go-to officer. He knows his job. He's considered a cop's cop. He's respected by his peers and subordinates. His experience will serve him well as he moves forward as a full-time patrol sergeant. He's joined tonight by his wife Holly, his daughter Samantha, his sons Benny and Tommy, his mother, and numerous other family members and friends. So, Holly, can you come up with the kids? on this side. You're good right there. You got it on that side? All right, I, Jack W. Lyon Jr.
I, Jack W. Lyon Jr.
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of sergeants of the Pequannock Township Police Department
all the duties of Sergeant of the Pequannock Township Police Department
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Pictures, y'all good with pictures? Y'all good? Congratulations. We do a picture? You know what, please. Poor guy. Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks. Thank you. All right, Jack, come on down. We're going to do a couple close pictures. We thought it was over.
All right, up next, Lieutenant Robert Brown. Lieutenant Brown was hired in January of 2003. During his 16 years with the department, he served as a patrolman, attack officer, a field training officer, a patrol sergeant, and most recently as the acting detective lieutenant. During the time as an acting detective lieutenant, he has taken on many challenges, including becoming the internal affairs officer, which is quite frankly a thankless job. I knew pretty early on that Lieutenant Brown was going to rise through the ranks quickly. His intelligence and his work ethic are the reasons why that I knew that. His vast experience within the police department will serve him well as he becomes a full-time detective lieutenant. He's joined tonight by his wife, Judy, his son, Tyler, his daughter, Delaney, and his stepchildren, Daniel and Stephanie, along with his parents, his brother, his sister, and numerous other family members. Actually, I don't see your sister. Oh, there she is. You guys want to come up?
I, Robert Brown Jr.,
I, Robert Brown Jr.
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties as lieutenant of the Pequannock Township Police Department,
all the duties as lieutenant of the Pequannock Township Police Department,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. I used to have hair like that. I'm going to call, you want to do a couple post pictures? Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
We were trying to get out of the picture.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Now we're going to have Mr. Brewer.
You want my stats?
Now playing the role of. Good evening, everyone. As Captain Commune mentioned, Chief Spring, every time this happens, talks in the office about how much he wishes he could be here, and obviously he would love to be here, but he can't. That said, his leadership is strong, and his presence is felt throughout the building and with the department. So, we thank Chief Spring for his continued efforts and wish him well in his ongoing battle to get well, and we're confident that he will. Before I segue into Captain Commune, there's an item in my report as manager that will come up later in the meeting, but I want to take advantage of the captive audience. In 2015, the Township of Pequannock Police Department underwent a process to become accredited by the New Jersey Association of Chiefs of Police. And recently, it was a three-year process. It was a three-year cycle, and recently they had to go through a reaccreditation process, which, if anyone's familiar with it, you know how arduous it is. For those of you who may not be, it's everything from how you handle evidence to your policies to the physical plan of your building. It's a comprehensive review of not only the department and how it operates, but everything from soup to nuts. It's not an easy thing to do, but recently we were notified in March that the department has been reaccredited for 3 more years. So I'd like to congratulate Chief Spring, retired Captain DePite, Captain Commune, and especially Lieutenant Nelson. I don't know if you're somewhere back in the area. Lieutenant Nelson serves as the accreditation officer, so it's his job to manage a bureaucracy that I wouldn't want to have to contend with. So before we get to Captain Commune, I'd just like to congratulate the department as a whole, as a department that the township, its residents, and the entire region can be proud of. Congratulations. On to Captain Commune. Captain Commune joined the police department in 1999. He is a graduate of William Patterson University. I can extol his virtues and explain that he's essentially served in every bureau, assignment, division that the department has. Obviously, he's risen through the ranks to become captain. In that role, he serves as the operations commander, public information officer. And for those of you who don't know, I was hired about a year ago, and as I was hired, the department was in a transition period. A lot of people were in acting capacities, which is what we're finishing with today, and putting people in their permanent capacities. But if it weren't for Chief Spring, when Chief Spring was absent, acting captain and officer in charge, captain and acting Chief DePite, and at that time Lieutenant and acting Captain Commune, it would have been a much harder thing to navigate with all those pieces moving. But with the aforementioned dedication to the job that they do, and the respect that they have for each other, the citizens, and the role that they play, people like Captain Commune made it all work. So with that, I congratulate Captain Commune on your promotion, and I wish you well and thank you for all your efforts.
I'm impressed he did that without any notes. Dan's wife Jody is here tonight.
Son Sean.
Son Sean, Melissa, and Sarah, daughters. I, Daniel F. Commune,
I, Daniel F. Commune,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
under
the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties as captain of Pequannock Township Police Department, according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. 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 Cong My pleasure. I speak for the entire council. It's very easy to be supportive of the police department because it's a great bunch of guys, great leadership. Brian Spring does a great job as chief, and we're grateful to have all of you serve on the police department, all of you to serve as volunteers on the fire department, the first aid squad. We have a great group of first responders in this town, so thank you all. Nobody wants to stay.
Nice seeing you. Bye, Holly. I have. Isn't it great?
How you doing?
How are you? We should have let some of the police guys talk. Or the fire guys. I said we should have let some of the fire guys
It's easy. Yeah.
Good job. You know, we didn't even ask you guys if you wanted to say anything. Were you prepared to? Oh. No, I wasn't sure if Ralph wanted to. Too late. Oh, you were good with what? All right. Because I thought about that later. I was like, oh no. Yeah. Thanks for coming. All right. Ralph Cook, that's the tall one, and this one's Marty Craig. That's me. I don't know all of us.
Six people. Yeah, plus or minus. Depends on the night.
For the meeting? Sometimes.
You want to hear about the wedding officiating policy? Come on. It'll be flowing.
Well, I'll let you know.
Sometimes 10 or less. There's more than 2.
Yeah. Well, I look at it around the room. Usually it's like 2 or 3. We're lucky if we get 10.
If there's more, we know somebody's complaining. Or asking for
I hope they know I was only kidding when I said whenever I talk to Ed, it's usually like nothing saying about something. I didn't want to go into details.
How are you doing? Living the dream.
How are you, Russ? Frank's gonna move the podium back.
Need help?
I know, I didn't even write
No, my pleasure. You guys now.
I didn't really write
Give it to
anything.
me.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to see you. Congratulations.
Oh yeah, thank you. We're a little hurt, but we'll get over it.
We're a little hurt, but we'll get over
Do you have anything to report on it?
You know what? No.
It was more just like this, what we're doing, figure out how we can work together.
Big bills. A little bit of work.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Right, but they're looking for, yeah. Parks and Rec doesn't think they should even do.
I shut the air off.
We actually discussed most of the stuff in closed session, so I can't even reach me.
Right. I
Okay, I'm ready.
92.
Ah, okay. I'm talking about that. Yeah, really, something changed. And we talked about
I saw that one.
If I have a party in my backyard,
Are you going to, we don't have a meeting, we did, but we don't. Are you going to the,
Okay, are we ready? You guys ready?
The league is one thing.
Let's go. At this time, are there any reports or comments from volunteers serving our community?
Frank?
Play something.
Me too. It's good, I've been there before.
Frank Spiteri, 35 West Franklin Avenue. Actually, I'm just going to speak about the cleanup over the weekend. It was a great turnout. Everybody helped. I think everybody did a good job. We filled up that dumpster. So, to everybody that came and all the volunteers that are out there, thank you very much. As far as open space, we had a joint meeting with Parks and Rec at our last meeting, and I don't know whether Ryan's going to give any more on it, but I'll just...
I was not able to make it, but
that's right, Kyle
was there.
You're gonna give something on that?
You can talk about it.
Oh, all right. Actually, we had a really good meeting. And this was what I said in the beginning when we first started, that we should get together and kind of talk with each other and find out who's doing what and what we're doing. So it was a very good meeting as far as getting Parks and Rec to know what we're doing with the Riverwalk and other properties and other stuff that we want to do. So, and we also want to work with them on their input for the master plan. So, myself, being the deputy or the second in command for open space, I would like to see us get together again now with planning board and some of the other ones that would be involved with anything that we might want to do. So I'll talk to Joe and see if we can get something going with planning board or environmental, just to get everybody on board.
And Frank,
And I know I'm going, yes.
so this was the first one that you guys met with, and you guys want to meet more. What do you think? Is it like going to be twice a year? What do you think that scenario is?
Everybody that was there was very interested in what was going on as far as open space is concerned. And Tom and Joe said that we should do this, again. And so I'm thinking that we'll probably have one or two more meetings to keep abreast of what's going on during the year.
Okay.
And I think we should do that with the other ones also. I think it's very important that everybody is on the same page. And I know we went a little bit further. You were going to do something about that, but try to get people together. But
It's good that it happened.
we try to preempt you a little bit.
Good.
But so,
Such thing as too much communication.
yeah, I think it's very good for the town, actually, that everybody knows what's going on.
100%.
So if Kyle has anything else to report, she can. But that's all I have for that. If anybody has any questions, I'm glad to answer anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Any other volunteers serving our community? I see none. Next item on the agenda is public comment. The public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized and come to the microphone and provide your name and address for the record. Anyone? So, next item on the agenda is the manager's report. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mayor. As I mentioned during the presentation of promotions, the police department was reaccredited for another 3 years by the New Jersey Association of Chiefs of Police. It really is a massive undertaking by the department, and it's not something that all departments do or have the opportunity to do, so it's something really to be proud of.
The department has to take this on themselves to do
Correct.
that.
Correct. And then there's a process for reaccredit, and they really audit everything you do. So it's a nice way. It also helps if there's ever any issues, that you show a standard of excellence as opposed to some of the other departments in the state, let's say it that way. Okay. Within my memo, I have a correction within the fee ordinance, which is a discussion item for later. There's a glaring omission in the last sentence of paragraph 3. It should say that should the fee be established, it will be set by law and not something that can be waived. Okay, so it does say correct. So I just want to make sure it's not. Thought I forgot a not there. I apologize. Also, as I reported at the last council meeting, we had a tabletop exercise to run through an emergency response to a hurricane in the region. Approximately 15 emergency services, volunteers, staff members, representatives from Chilton Hospital participated. It was about a 2.5-hour exercise. It was actually on the screen with FEMA giving us direction, so the township does get some points for participation in that. It was a good exercise. We did identify a few things that need to be addressed. You know, who doesn't have a radio, some things that you don't realize until you do run through the exercise. So it was a positive experience, and obviously with me being in a new role, it was nice to be able to get everybody together. I appreciate the fact that the volunteers took the time for that.
Is there anything different that we're doing now or have to do now relative to other things that we've done before?
It's all specific to the incident.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it, depends. The scenario was essentially based upon a combination of hurricanes Irene and Superstorm Sandy. So, it was almost like and there were 7 other towns or 6 other towns in the country that were on the conference call. So the joke was, New Jersey could teach this almost because we'd basically been through it, which FEMA recognized. So it really just depends on the specific items. One of the curveballs that was a component of the exercise was there was a fire at the high school, our primary shelter.
What do you do?
So how do we mobilize to get people somewhere else, and what contingencies need to be taken into account? So that was a nice curveball to have to contend with.
Great to know. Hopefully we never have to do it.
Knock on wood. And then lastly, previously the use of the tennis courts at Pequannock Township High School was the subject of an interlocal service agreement. Recreation Department staff put a request in for the use of those tennis courts from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week through the months of July and August, which the Board of Education approved.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
So,
Thank you. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, we appreciate the board's approach to that, and that concludes my report at this time.
All right, thank you very much. Next on the agenda is public hearing, and there are no public hearings scheduled for this evening. And then next on the agenda is introductions for ordinances, and there are no ordinances scheduled for introduction at this time. Next on the agenda is resolutions. Ms. Marsh.
For the council's consideration this evening, Resolution 2019-91, approving change order number 1 for the athletic field fence replacement project, decreasing the contract with Freedom Fencing of Pompton Plains, New Jersey by $1,260 to a revised contract price of $102,261.22. 2019-92, approving the designated special event permit application for the Morales Frisians Costa Rican Rodeo. 2019-93, authorizing the execution of a quitclaim deed, releasing ownership unit from Affordable Housing Controls. That's for Block 2202, Lot 2, qualifier C216. And R 2019-94, approving payment of the itemized claims is set forth on the April 5th, 2019 bill list and the April 5th, 2019, 2015, and 2016 FEMA elevation escrow lists.
Are there any comments on the resolution from council?
I I guess the only one I was going to bring up, so on Resolution 2019-93, that's because now you hit the 30-year
Correct.
mark.
That has hit the 30-year mark, and we'll be doing, I think, 4 more of those.
Okay.
We're going through the application. There's going to be a total of 5.
That's
that
what
hit
my
that
question
mark.
was, how many
Yep.
are there? Because they must all be coming.
They are all coming.
Same thing happened in the Glens?
Yep. Well, right.
Yes, the issue is that people have to, if there's been any transfers during that time, it starts all over.
Right.
So there's not all that many where there haven't been, there's been no transfers. It is a long time.
Right, it's only when there's no transfers.
Right.
So,
And this one, an example, was inherited from a mother to a daughter that we never went back, and we never did a new mortgage because it never came back to us for approval. So it's been more than 30
And
years.
the other 4 the same way, Bob?
Yeah, the other 4 are more people, I think people who have actually been there, and I think most of them are actually at Crestwood. I think that's mostly where we've had people stay.
Okay.
and my only other comment was on the fencing change order. Unusual to go the other way.
I'll take it.
And,
Yeah, when the specification was designed, the gauge was a little too high. We did reach out to someone who was an expert, they gave us advice, and when the bid was awarded, they said, hey, listen, it still meets the standard, can we get a deduct? We confirmed with the expert, it still complies with everything, so it's a deduction.
Good.
Any other questions? Nope. I do have a question on 2019-93. Why exactly are we doing that?
Yeah. The short answer is because we have an ordinance that says that you need, in order to have a festival or any kind of special event, you need to get governing body approval of a permit. Now, we can rework that ordinance and make it something that is automatic subject to approval. We seem to have the same applications year after year.
Yeah, because they've done this one before, too.
They have done this one.
My question is, if zoning, if it's zoned and it's allowed through zoning, why do we have to approve it?
Why do we have to do any regulation? I think there's a good argument for needing to know that it's happening, so our first responders can be aware that the event is going to go on. Whether or not we need to go through an approval process here is something that, we can certainly look to change in the ordinance.
I mean, if I have a party in my backyard with 100 people, this is private property. If I have a party in my backyard with 100 people, I don't have to get any approval.
We do not. And that issue has been raised, and we're aware of it.
To your point, I guess that helps trigger notifications, so the police know.
It does, but we could set up an ordinance that has the notification requirement, and it's simply a permit issued from the clerk's office automatically.
Look at that. And are they selling tickets? I mean...
I don't know, but I think we might have representatives here that can answer any questions.
If you want to come up to the microphone.
Yeah, and this is not a first-time event either.
Right.
No.
Like, I think it was different if they're selling tickets and, unless, Dave, you sell tickets to your house parties.
Yes, they have.
I'm going to be translating for him. He's going to be answering the question. I'm going to just translate for him.
Okay. You could just identify yourselves with the name and name.
All right, my name is Louis Miguel. He's Miguel. Okay,
So the question you had was...
Is there ticket sales?
Yeah, there's gonna be ticket sales.
Okay. Yeah, so that's why we
that's part of what
That's probably
triggers.
why we need to know, not so much that there's a big gathering, that it's an event.
Right.
And there's also, like I said, probably a permit for...
Yeah, was there a permit for serving alcohol too?
There's a catering permit. They've applied for a catering.
They've applied for a permit.
We've applied for permits.
It's okay.
My name is Silvia from Costa Rican organization. Yes, we are applying for the ABC to sell liquor.
Permit. And have you done this before at that site?
Years ago in the same place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have your permit yet from the ABC?
No, we have the application and we need to sign. He have to sign, I think, right?
I have to sign it, but I get his approval first.
Right.
Exactly.
So here's my question. I see no reason why council needs to approve this. I think that the fire department, the police department, whoever needs to be notified should be notified, and we should correct the ordinance or change the ordinance so they are notified, but
it doesn't have to come here.
I don't see a reason why it needs to come.
I agree with that.
Other than you want to invite us, that'd be great.
We have gone to it before. I went 3 years ago.
Right, so you have to do an ordinance to change it.
I will have to do an ordinance to change it. We'll have to approve this
Discussion, the whole
tonight.
9 yards,
Yeah.
Well, let's discuss it. on another date.
So we have the proof for the fire department, and we applied for the police department, just waiting for the permit.
All right, so how many tickets are going to be sold?
Como cuántos tickets van a haber? Like
Yeah, use the
500?
microphone, everybody.
Like 500, about 500, sorry.
And what's the date? What are you guys looking to do?
It's May 26th, May 25th, and the rain date of May 26th.
May 25th.
Kyle?
No fireworks, right?
No, there's going to be fireworks.
No fireworks.
It says here, will there be any bonfire, open flames, or fireworks? And it's check mark no, so,
Okay, good.
yeah. But there's going to be alcohol served, amplified music.
Yeah, which one?
Is there anything that you're going to do for noise control or crowd control?
Para el ruido, ¿qué es lo que se va a ocupar para...?
We have the control.
We'll probably put the music facing like a direction where there's probably like no housing towards that direction.
Yeah, there's no house.
And you know what way that's facing?
Towards the river?
Towards Wayne.
Lo que se va a hacer para el ruido, que la música se elige que la
last time
la
they had a
música como
stage
está, donde no hayan las casas.
Amplified alcohol.
All right, yeah. Thank you. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Have fun.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt 2019-91 through 2019-94.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Cole?
Yes. Next on the agenda is items for discussion, wedding officiating policy. Yay!
Mr. Mayor, if I may, the discussion on February 23rd, the budget meeting, there was a conversation where the council unanimously gave direction that we should consider an ordinance establishing a fee for the officiation of a wedding. There were a number of reasons for that discussion, or a number of reasons cited in that discussion. The principal one is, the time of the mayor or the officiant is valuable, so a little bit of skin in the game helps people take it seriously. There was also some discussion about what could or couldn't be done with the revenue. Included within your packets is a copy of a local finance notice from 2007, which provides some guidance based upon a conversation with the clerk, the finance officer, and the counselor to my right. The recommendation would be, if we proceed with this, that the revenue just be taken in like any other license revenue, as my favorite municipal word, MRNA, which is municipal revenue not anticipated. So the ordinance, as discussed, has a fee of $25 for residents, $50 for non-residents. And again, I just want to stress that if we do put this in the law, it can't be waived. So it's not a situation where, if Mayor Cole wants to marry his
Sister.
friends.
Not be married.
I was going to say, do tell.
Marry her or her fiancé.
That's okay. He can pay the $25.
That's a different set of laws. The fee can't be waived by Mayor Cole.
But anybody can pay the $25.
Correct. And I think with all the costs and everything associated, in my opinion, it's a reasonable fee.
It's very reasonable.
I think it's reasonable for two reasons. Number one, not just the time, but like you said, people taking it seriously. So many times, I remember a couple of times when Rich was mayor and I was mayor, people would make the appointments and then not show up,
Or
or
they'd
they'd
be very
cancel,
late,
or they'd be late.
Which is very
And then when we were collecting money, not collecting money, but when we told them to make, we'd ask for a donation, we never knew whether the donations were coming in or not.
Right.
Unless they handed them to us to give to somebody, which we shouldn't be doing anyway.
It definitely adds skin to the game to them.
So the money will go to the general fund.
Correct.
So marry a lot of people, they pay.
There you go.
Is there an average on the other towns what they're doing? Like, is 25, 50 bucks normal, low, high?
I don't know. I didn't research that. My recommendation was $100, but the council...
I think it's a little low, and it's fine.
Oh, I thought we said 50 and 100.
That's what I thought, because 25 seems low.
Okay. I mean, the purpose of scheduling this for discussion was to kind of come together, get an opportunity to review the document, and whatever we decide, you decide, can be scheduled.
I mean, I don't want to put a financial burden on Dave's sister. But, for $50, it's a little harder to walk away from or be late to. $25 is kind of like a couple cappuccinos and my
So what,
scone.
you're thinking
a
50
scone,
and 100?
Yes. So 50 and 100?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm fine with that.
Look, it's going to cost you a lot more than $100 later on.
All right, so if it's acceptable to the council, we'll make that change and then prepare the ordinance for consideration of introduction at the next council meeting.
And there's nothing that the mayor can direct the funds go to, it just goes into the general fund.
That's the recommendation based upon the review of the applicable guidance.
You're helping the citizens of Pequannock with their taxes.
Generally.
Yeah.
I'd like to note that Mayor Cole also found $20, which was deposited as Myrna during the Riverwalk cleanup. So we thank him for those efforts.
But I also like to mention that town manager Brewer found the first 20, and he says, I got to deposit that into the account, so after I found my 20, I guess I had to follow the same thing.
I found 20, I just kept my mouth shut.
That was my 20.
So somebody's losing 20s behind Stop and Shop. All right, we're good with that? You got the direction you needed?
Sir.
Okay. Next on the agenda is reports and notices. Are there any comments or questions from council on the reports and notices? Congratulations to Pequannock Township for receiving $264,000 from the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the paving of West Parkway.
How much is it going to cost altogether?
About $500,000.
About $500,000.
Roughly, I would say. We got about half.
Yeah, Mountain Avenue and West Parkway is about $620, and West Parkway owns a little bit less than that, but this is something that will help. And there are towns that don't receive this aid. I know the Township of Pequannock regularly does. It's a testament to Mr. Golden and staff's tying things out. The DOT gets upset with you when you don't dot your I's and cross your T's, and they don't give it to towns. So, compliment the town and the staff for their...
We like free money.
100%.
All right, next on the agenda is council reports and announcements. Councilwoman Florence Lynch.
Okay. I'd like to give a report on one book community read. If you remember, late last year I mentioned an initiative between the school librarians and the Township Public Library, and I participated as the Township liaison on the community panel. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about it. So one book community read is a joint initiative of the Pequannock Township Public Library, the Lincoln Park Library, and the Riverdale Public Library. When we first started meeting, we were talking about one book, one community, and then decided it was better to combine it with surrounding towns. So now it's called One Book Community Read. It's just a simple idea. It's designed to foster a sense of community by bringing people together through literature. So we selected a book called Walking to Listen by Andrew Forstafel. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, because we believe it can serve as a springboard for discussing how listening can be used to bridge divides. One big idea from the book comes from this quote: "When you see everyone as your equal and your teacher, the world becomes an astonishing place." So the Pequannock Library will host programming around the themes of this book and culminate with the author visiting in late October. So that'll be the highlight when the author comes. He'll visit do a program here. People can meet him. So all throughout the year, that's going to happen in late October. It's going to kick off in the summer. The Pequannock Library is planning on giving copies of the book to members of the community at the summer reading kickoff on June 22nd. And then the Pequannock Library is working with all the schools as well as the surrounding towns to collaborate on reading and programs. And if it's okay, we penciled in Tuesday, May 14th to have a presentation here. They're just going to come in and talk about the programming and how this is all going to happen in the schools and in the community, in the surrounding towns, and then some more to come on that, but that's where we are. Okay?
Carol, you got that May 14th?
May 14th will be a short presentation on the program. Couple other things. The senior advisory group met. They had brought something up, and I told them I'd look into this. Do you know if there is, I don't know if it would be through OEM or something else, but a database or some list somewhere where seniors can register so you know where the seniors are in the community? Somebody had said there was like a database for seniors to sign up. And I wasn't sure if it was through OEM.
That with the flood, after the flooding, that never got off the ground because of privacy rights and this, that, and the other law that
they had asked about it.
If there was a volunteer thing where they could, that would be helpful.
All right, well, more to come on that. I mean, I don't know if that's something we can look into, a way for seniors to register, just so, I mean, I think the first aid squad pretty much knows where all the seniors are in the community, but their feeling is that that could even be a better collaborative effort. They think, that there are seniors out there that it would be a benefit to the town if we knew where some of the, especially if they're handicapped and elderly and really, homebound.
But how do you keep the list updated?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something.
A little bit
privacy
more.
law.
Yeah.
How do they register?
They could sign up for something, couldn't they?
Well, yeah.
If we have manual.
Well, they're not going to register on a, somebody would have to do it for them, but that was the one thing that came up. And I know I talked to Mr. Brewer about some of the needs that they asked about. I guess you're looking into that. Okay.
Wireless microphones, some simple, easy things.
Yeah, chairs, microphone, yeah. All right, what else? Economic Development Committee, they met this month, and they worked on actually a very comprehensive business list. I don't know if that's something that can be used to help send out the survey. I don't see why not, right? They have a very comprehensive list that's just about complete. And of course, it's going to have to be a living, breathing document where they have to keep editing it, but they worked with the chamber and worked on this list. So it's pretty comprehensive of all the business owners, and I think there's a landlord list too. So maybe I can hook the chair up with the town on how to get the survey out to them. The other thing is the seniors had asked as well. I've been talking about the master plan survey. I have not seen printed copies. We talked about having printed copies of that survey at the senior house, at the library, at town hall.
I'm sure there'll be printed copies at the first town hall meeting that they're having.
May 1st, right, is that, so I know.
We'll see if we can get them in.
Some people have been looking for the survey that can't go online. And there's a grand opening this Saturday at 2 o'clock for those that can make it, 610 Newark Pompton Turnpike. It's a hair salon called Artistry. And the Flood Advisory Committee meets this Thursday at 7:30. And I know that's April 11th. And I know in May, they've already been in discussions with you, Adam, I believe, about a field trip for their May meeting. The Flood Committee wants to go out into the community, see how we have a lot going on with the elevations, and so they kind of just...
Transportation is being arranged.
Yeah, I heard. Okay, good, that's it.
All right. Councilman Hurd.
Okay. I'll start with a couple of weeks ago, we went on the TBSA tour, Two Bridges Sewer Authority. I have to say it was fascinating.
Yeah, that was
I know
good.
Rich is there all the time. He's, are you liaison for that, or you're on the board?
I'm on the board.
He's on the board.
I have to say, I mean, absolutely fascinating to see where everything goes, per se. Downhill, absolutely. Learned a lot of things. A couple of interesting things is, the same things as septics. We have to treat sewers the same way, so things like they do have an issue with wipes and balls and anything that goes down the toilet that shouldn't go down the toilet.
Rectified it.
They've rectified it, and they definitely have technology that now takes it out, but just like you wouldn't put it into your septic, don't put it down the sewer system. So that's a big deal. Another big deal is let's not put extra water down there, which is leader pipes, drains, things like that. Again, same thing as if you would treat your septic system. You wouldn't want extra water going into there. So those are some interesting things. But I mean, overall, the technology and everything they do was absolutely fascinating, at least for me it was. And when they discharge their water, it's like 10 times cleaner than the water that's actually in the river. So, I mean, really, and they're not putting, you wouldn't drink it, but you wouldn't, they're not using chemicals, they're using UV, they're using, it's fascinating, it really was. So I would encourage everybody to take that tour, even if it does seem odd.
I went on that tour 7 years ago, and I can't believe how much work they've done on it from then to now. It's just amazing.
They've spent a ton of money, too.
Yeah, all for the good thing. It really was fascinating. So that was that. Teen advisory meeting, we're looking for more members, so a big member drive. So any teen that is in the community that would like to have their voices heard on how the community moves forward for them, please get in contact with us because we need more engaged teens. Let's see. The Historic District Preservation Commission, we met the other day. I have a question, Adam. So we're supposed to get notified for any houses that are 50-plus years old if they're going to be knocked down. It seems like they might be falling through the cracks. Is there, can we just check the process just to make sure that we're notified?
Certainly.
50?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem right.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah, that doesn't seem old enough.
I know,
What did
50 does
what
not.
did he just ask? I missed that.
So we're supposed to be notified when there's a house that is 50 years or older that's knocked down.
Is that referenced in an ordinance?
No.
Well, that's got to be checked.
No.
So, because my question is, it's a twofold question. So where does it come
I don't
from?
think so.
Is there something that states that we have to be?
It's one of those urban legends.
Okay, so let's get that clarified.
Let me do some research and determine
my split level.
what's required, not required, and if there's any issues with compliance. If there are issues with compliance, it's easy to fix.
Maybe 100.
But if it's something that's not a requirement, then
Yeah, the whole town.
Exactly.
it's not a requirement.
And 50 years doesn't seem, I mean, at least to me, it doesn't seem old.
I would say 200, maybe. 50?
That's why I'm asking. So, yeah, this way we can find out about that. Let's see, what else? Interesting, like, side note, and maybe Councilman Russell can answer this one, or Adam can.
Councilman.
Councilwoman,
Must be
sorry.
the name.
Councilperson. It just came up about Parks and Rec and the sign, or actually, and this is a problem I guess maybe we all have, I'm talking for everybody, but, you know, when I go to PV Park, I'm really not paying attention to the signs, which is the, you know, do this, do that, you can't drink in here, you can't smoke, all that stuff. And I'm trying to think, is there an actual sign in the entrance? Because I can't remember. I'm not paying attention.
There's rules. There's a sign that
Yeah,
has
there's a
rules.
whole rules thing. I think it was discussed last year. There was a whole big discussion. There were new signs put up, actually.
So there was.
Yes.
So I think the conversation spurred from the joint committee that you guys had, and one of the questions was, you know, is there something on there that says subject to search? So if somebody brings a bag in, can we search that? And then the second thing is, anybody that is a day pass, do we give them a pamphlet that also shows whatever's on the sign?
Who's going to search the
Yeah, if I could just jump in on the,
Again, these are the questions that came up.
Yeah, the searching dynamic is something that the existing staff or the regular staff at PV Park, I wouldn't want them engaging.
Okay,
If there's an issue with something and someone has a concern, they can ask them not to bring it in, and if there's problems beyond that, then we have law enforcement address it, and they can follow whatever process is required.
But do we have, like, clear signage that says all this stuff, like
No bongo play.
no vaping, no bongo playing, you know?
Well,
Or is there something
with respect to smoking and vaping, as you're aware, Councilman, and we discussed it in the past, that the coalition worked with the Public Works Department and me. We have a mock sign that's been created that's going to be deployed. We're 22 of them that the coalition's going to fund, we hope, to address that dynamic. With respect to rules, I believe there is a sign that displays that prominently. How it's handled with, you know, day passes, et cetera, we can check internal procedures.
Again, that was just something that came up. And then lastly, the cleanup this weekend was a success, like Frank said. A success in multiple ways. I mean, listen, years past, we've actually picked up more stuff and filled up bigger containers, so I'm glad that we're not filling up as big of a container as we have. We've had a bunch of people from council was out there to everybody else was out there. Boy Scouts were out there both Saturday and Sunday. So Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, our whole troop was out there. So just want to give a shout out to the town. there is a lot of people picking up the trash. And a lot of people are not throwing their trash down in town, which also makes me proud. So proud on two sides there. Other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Phelan.
First, Mayor, I'd like to apologize. I was not at the mayor's cleanup. Unfortunately, we are very busy at my job, and we are working 7 days a week.
It's understandable.
And,
you don't have to apologize to me.
You're friends here. But anyway, so I want to apologize for that. We're just extremely busy at my job right now. That's it.
That's
I
it.
have a report.
All right. Councilwoman Russell.
Yes, there was actually, we met, Dave and Adam and I met a mother and daughter from Pompton Lakes who she had done it for her confirmation a couple years earlier, and they felt so rewarded that they come back every year. Pompton Lakes or Riverdale, right?
Pompton Lakes.
Yeah. So that was nice. And there was a lot of people out there. We saw a lot of stuff, and there's beautiful trails, hundreds of golf balls. Bob was also with us too. I almost got hit by a golf ball, so. But other than that, it was a beautiful weather. It was great. I think it was 99 volunteers is what he said, Rudy said?
Wow.
So that was amazing. As Frank said before, Open Space and Parks and Rec had a joint meeting, and it was actually informative. It was very nice to hear what they're looking at and provide our feedback as to what we're thinking. And I think everybody really did enjoy it, and I think Frank's right. It should probably be done maybe once a year, twice a year, to get these groups together so everybody knows what everybody's doing. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. As everyone has mentioned, the 2019 Mayor's Riverwalk cleanup was a huge success. 99 volunteers, 30 from Boy Scouts, Troop 144, Pequannock Valley Rotary was there, the Boys and Girls Club was there, many residents, many out-of-town residents, all helped fill the 20-yard dumpster. I'd like to thank Rudy Steinfeld for his continued success organizing a great community event. I'd like to thank the Environmental Commission, Frank Spazzeri, for driving a truck around and picking up the bags. It was just a great event. So thank you to everyone that participated. This Saturday at the First Aid Squad, they will be selling casino night tickets. Tickets are $65, and it includes $50 worth of play money. But if you go this Saturday between 10 and 4, you will get an extra $20 in play money. So there's a little incentive for you to go to the First Aid Squad this Saturday between 10 and 4. So after we walk in the Little League Parade, you can walk over to the First Aid Squad and buy your tickets. The event is going to be on May 4th. Doors open at 6:30, and again, it'll be at Holy Spirit, their 11th annual casino night.
It was a blast.
Yes, always a good time. Unfortunately, I will not be able to make the grand opening this Saturday. I'll be calling balls and strikes at Montville, varsity baseball, and First Aid Squad met last night, and there was a total of 50 calls during the month of March. And that's all I have for that.
What time are we meeting for the Little League parade?
I would say to be safe, 8 a.m., quarter after the parade will start at 8:30. We'll march down. The festivities down at Washington Park Field 1 should start by 9. I think the first game starts at 10, so shouldn't be long. We should be out of there by 9:30. So they asked me for everyone's email address. They asked me for Pete Coriel's email address, Dave Cycling, and Mark Struebel's, because they also wanted to invite people from Parks and Rec and people from DPW for all the help that they have given to the Pequannock Little League. So hopefully we'll have a good turnout.
Good. Hopefully it's warm.
Yeah.
Not raining.
Yeah. I don't know if it will happen if it is raining, but show up.
I think it's supposed to be warm outside.
Yeah. Good. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized. Come to the microphone. Provide your name and address for the record. Mr. Spazzeri.
Can we get him a wireless microphone?
Mike Spazzeri, 35 West Franklin Avenue. Actually, I just want to bring up something that Ryan touched on. There were, before we had the open space and Parks and Rec meeting, there were a couple of citizens there, and Tom opened up the meeting to them, and they were complaining about PV Park. My suggestion to them was to come to you guys and complain here or complain to somebody rather than Parks and Rec, because Parks and Rec can't really do anything. They're only an advisory.
Yes.
Yes, it was a...
And one of the guys was, I don't know, he worked in some kind of law, whatever he did.
He's an attorney.
And he was the biggest...
He was an attorney. He's retired.
Whatever. He was complaining about people misusing the park and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know whether, did anybody contact you?
Yeah, he came to this meeting.
Yeah, he's been here.
Oh, all right.
Aware of the discussion at the Parks and Rec Committee, yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is the place to do that.
Well, they were here already.
Right. Well, he has to, I had a discussion with him the next day.
Yeah.
If somebody sees something, they need to report it. So we have documentation of anything that happens. If they don't report it and then they come in here and, then it becomes a he said, she said, where there's no documentation because...
Well, that was part of his complaint, that nobody was there to do anything. Well, if you don't make a phone call, there's not going to be anyone there. Call 911 and say, hey, we've got a problem at PV Park. Police cars will show up, and they'll take care of the situation. I mean, it's not a brain surgery,
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Anyone else? There are no minutes presented for approval. Next on the agenda is closed session, and I believe we do have closed session.
We do.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution authorizing town council to meet in executive session to discuss acquisitions on various open space properties and matters of attorney-client privilege?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? At this time, public portion of the meeting is recessed for closed session.